Grand Marge, 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 Grand Marge.
Fellow Kiss fans, welcome to It's All For You Demons, celebrating the fun of being a Kiss fan. And speaking of fun, some fun has arrived in the Wax Night basement, and that fun is in the form of creatures. So I thought today we would discuss the fun that has arrived and also discuss my dive into Kiss, Creatures of the Night. So this is Large Marge and my dive into Kiss, Creatures of the Night. And here is the something fun, the Argentina pressing of Creatures of the Night. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. I tend to yell it when I pronounce it. Critadas de la Noche. Kind of like they would, you know, in a commercial for the album. I don't know why. This is my first, foray into the foreign country pressings of albums, and it's astonishing how flimsy these jackets are compared to the US pressings. US pressings are sturdy and, you know, colors more vibrant. Of course, this has probably aged with time and storage and humidity, everything. But, you know, just sturdy jackets and horribly flimsy jackets. It's a different vibe. It's a different feel. It's a different world. But that is half the fun. And I just fell in love with, you know, the different title. I think things like that are so fun. And compared to the US version, the back is, you know, slightly different. It's still the same outer picture, but, you know, the track listing's different and no more title and band logo at the top, just the Casablanca label in the right corner. Does still have the dedication to Neil Bogart. And then, of course, the track listings themselves are in Spanish, which I find very fascinating and very fun. Here is the Casablanca label. Got the record and Filmworks Casablanca label. And I think my favorite song title in Spanish is Rock and Roll Hell. Infierno de Rock and Roll. Again, on the collecting side, nothing huge, but just something I thought was kind of fun. I love that different title on the album cover, and I'm definitely hanging this on the wall. Just a fun find and a fun kind of where has this album been thing to wax about and have fun with. You know, that's the fun of collecting. You always learn, you always grow, you always discover something new, and that's the fun of being a Kiss fan. And so now, as far as my dive into Kiss, Creatures of the Night, my first exposure to Creatures of the Night would have been middle school and watching Kiss Exposed.
I Love It Loud video.
And right between the eyes.
You know, the moment the I Love It Loud video plays, it's just definitely one of the catch-all moments of this video. And I think it's because it's a makeup era clip, but it's not live. It's, you know, filmed in a studio, music video wise. And it just has that 80s charm that all, you know, 80s music videos had back then, where artists learned that they could not only, you know, show clips of them playing the song, but add story into the video and kind of make it a small feature film. So knowing I Love It Loud from Exposed, my first purchase ever was Smashes. And these, as we all know, the Smashes version of I Love It Loud is horrible. Why you dummy down those drums on this version is beyond me. And the smashes, thrashes, and hits I Love It Loud audio was so compellingly different to us. It entered our nerd like vocabulary back then. You know, we were teenagers, we would all sneak over to, different friends' house, and when their parents are gone, you sneak out the old man's porn collection, and you put a porn tape in the VCR and you put the counter on 0 so you can rewind it back to the exact spot you found it. But this is also the 80s, so a lot of those videotapes had like 70s porn on it and 80s porn. And this audio difference became so drastic to Danny and I that Danny and I started to coin 70s porn smashes and 80s porn creatures because of the audio difference in the two eras of porn. That's a little TMI, nerd information, but just to show you how drastic the audio difference on smashes was for I Love It Loud, it entered our nerd vocabulary. And as this was the 80s, we were collecting the back catalog on CD. So I knew of I Love It Loud, and I didn't have a good version. So obviously the next choice is to go out and buy Creatures of the Night on CD. We kids of the 80s did not have the original cover. We had the 85 reissue. And the original run of CDs was that album cover, which was always strange to us. We never understood why. I'm sure back then we didn't even really know that Ace was not on this record, but it was even a bigger mind scramble that Bruce would be on the cover. As time went on, we learned that, to pump sales into a kind of forgotten album of the 80s, they reissued it in 85 featuring the new band, and when CDs began to press, they just used that cover. So for the longest time, this was the only cover I ever owned on CD. So in high school, I loved this CD. I played this CD over and over again. I'm a huge Bryan Adams fan, so it was amazingly cool for me to have songs like Rock and Roll Hell and War Machine that were written by Bryan Adams appear on this record. I'm not a huge fan of Rock and Roll Hell by Bachman Turner Overdrive, which would have been the Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance version. I actually enjoy Gene's version much, much better. It's darker, more hard rock. It has more of a teenage vibe, and I think that's why I gravitated towards this record so much in high school. In high school, you think life sucks. You think you're trapped in school. You can't get a girl. You think things are bad. They're not, but you think they are. And this was a great out for me to go into my room and escape life to this bombastic, loud, heavy record. Always one of my favorite albums. I don't know where it ranks as far as top 5. I don't think it's in my top 5, and that's only because other stuff pushes it out. Definitely a top 10 album for me. And I just had tremendous love for this as a teenager and still do today. One of the greatest album covers in the band's catalog, and definitely one I sought out when I began collecting vinyl. But as a collector, you also have to collect every version. So at one point I was able to find the 85 reissue, and it's been the only time I've ever run across it. It was a cutout, and I have never ever seen this in the wild. It is kind of fun to, dive into this because there is some sonic kind of variances, and of course the track listing is flipped. The second track on the reissue is Killer, where the second track on the original is Saint and Sinner. And those are just flipped. Which, looking back, I guess I really didn't even notice until I found the 82 pressing on vinyl, because I grew up with the CD that is the 85 reissue. So now, the ultimate question of my dive into Kiss. I have a lot of Kiss albums that I consider sister albums, like Dynasty Unmasked, Asylum, Crazy Nights. 2 sister albums from the 80s are Creatures of the Night and Lick It Up. Different eras, but same decade. So what camp am I? Creatures of the Night or Lick It Up? Honestly, I'm camp Lick It Up. To me, Lick It Up is a better album beginning to end. And the reason being is I just cannot. It's a good song, but I just cannot do I Still Love You. To me, it is a showstopper of this album. Great song, but kind of takes away from the album for me. So my go-to of the sisters is Lick It Up. A Million to One is an amazing example of a Paul Stanley power ballad. That is what I Still Love You should have been. But again, I'm not going to hate on Creatures of the Night because Creatures of the Night is amazing. But when comparing the two sister albums, Creatures and Lick It Up, I'm team Lick It Up. So there you have a little trip down memory lane. My dive into Kiss, Creatures of the Night. Thank you for hanging with me. Thank you for waxing Kiss nostalgia with me. If you'd like to be a pen pal with us, details below. We'll send you some Large Marge Pee Wee swag. Take care. Be safe. Be good to your babies. Spay, neuter, microchip. It's nappy time. It is nappy time. Take care. Be safe. We will talk to you soon.
I am bigger than you.
Well, you know, we're filming a documentary in here, so we got to go in.
Beat it, Yahoo!